Okay, good. I think we're live there. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday. I like to call it Truth Tuesday. So we're going to be doing a presentation. So if you are watching this on YouTube, let me see if I can make this angle a little bit better. So I'm referring to both people, both screens at the same time, camera one, camera two. So if you want to get the replay of this presentation where you have, I guess, the actual graphics that we're going to be going through today, we'll do that. So today's presentation, I'm going to see if you can see. I wish I had another screen. Well, I'll maybe frame it a little bit differently, but let's just get into it. Okay, so maybe like this. It's the astrology. Oh no, it doesn't even look good that way. Okay, so without further ado, let's just get into it. I'm going to, if I'm not looking directly at the screen, it's okay. Okay, so let me just adjust this. We're doing something that I call an exploration of archetypes. So what does that mean when I say archetypes? I was asking one of my guests the other day to define what archetypes are, and I like to look at them as original templates to things. So when you're talking about mother or child or all those kinds of things, they fall under archetypes. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at the astrology of sex symbols, and we're going to do that through an exploration of three ladies that I really looked up to. Well, I wouldn't say I looked up to when I was younger, because I grew up in the 90s with like Spice Girls and like Britney Spears and like when like the pop princesses are happening. So we're going to be looking through. So if you're watching this on YouTube, we do have a presentation. I'm just going to get right into it. So we have three ladies that we're going to be exploring today, and that is Marilyn Monroe, because we have just entered Gemini season, and Miss Marilyn is she's a Gemini. She acts like a Gemini too, I would say. She also has her moon in Aquarius, but we'll get into her chart, as well as Brigitte Bardot, my French beauty who I love a lot. And then we also have Raquel Welch. So what we're going to look at is the commonalities between these three, I'll call them sex symbols, right? And look at where there's commonalities and things that you can look at in your own chart, because sex symbols are not just females. Like Elvis is a sex symbol. You may have your own sex symbols or crushes or people that... I'll define sex symbol first. So it is someone who many people find physically attractive or exciting in like a sexual kind of way. So I think, hey, not yours. I'm doing a little bit of a, it's early, right? So we're doing school, neuro-linguistic astrology school. And so we're learning about the astrology of sex symbols today. We've just entered, Gemini season, so happy birthday to all the Geminis out there. My moon is in Gemini, and Brigitte Bardot, her moon is Gemini, so we're gonna look at some of those. I'm a Taurus too. So we're just exiting our Taurus season, which is ruled by Venus, and we're coming into Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury. Now Mercury, or rather the sign of Gemini in tarot, is also ruled over by the Lovers card. So this idea of partnership, or even just the different parts of yourself and how they play with each other. So the third girl we're looking at is Raquel Welch, and we're going to look at each of their charts as a way to understand things like spiciness, why someone would be considered attractive. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, in my opinion, right? So what you find attractive on a personal level may match up with other people, but what is yours is yours, way to put it. Okay, so next. So the classic sex symbols that we're looking at, I have pictures here of visual representations. I should have set this up so I have the screen behind me. Next time going forward, we'll have I'll have my presentation behind me while I also have this live on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube or on Twitch, you will actually see a bit of my cute presentation as it comes to this. Hey Trippy Trap, how's it going? Hope you're well. Yes, archetypes in astrology. That's the little helper there was talking about it. And as I said, archetypes, if you're familiar with Carl Jung, it is from a psychological term, archetypes are these maps of characters in our inner story of life, right? Thanks, Trippy Trap. Yeah, I'm good. So this is like, I'm trying to have a new schedule when it comes to some of the more astrology types of presentations. So let's just get into it. These won't be as long as the comic book reads, but they are related, right? Because comic books deal with characters from an archetypal level too, right? In the sense of like certain characters, like the characters like Marilyn, right? This idea of the classic blonde bombshell who she always played dumb characters, right? Even though having that moon in Aquarius more than likely means that she was very smart and she was very witty and funny and these types of things that are associated with Aquarius as well. So I have Marilyn's chart up if you want to see it. Let me just adjust my framing here. So Marilyn's chart, she's got the sun in Gemini, but what is also in Gemini is Mercury. So the ruler of Gemini is Mercury. Having your sun and the sign of rulership together in the same place will add some more intensity to whatever that conjunction is. So if you have a Mercury and Sun together, you're going to have things like communication, verbalization, language, memory, thought. All of these things that are Mercury's domain are going to be further illuminated by having the Sun there. And I think we get that with Marilyn, right? She also, what I want to bring up was that Marilyn was born Norma Jean, right? Norma Jean Baker. And she created Marilyn. It's a very Gemini thing to do, a very magician thing to do, to recreate a new persona and then place a certain archetype behind that, right? So she's got that. She also has Venus is in Aries. Me too. And anyone with Venus is currently in Aries right now, I do believe. I have to double check on that, but it has been in Aries for a while. If it's not in Aries right now, it's going to be moving slowly into Pisces, I believe. So Venus herself has her own cycles. She has the cycles of the morning star and the evening star. And Venus in all of our charts represents relationships, love, where we find comfort, our how we relate to others. And that doesn't just mean like personal relationships, it also mean to things like I love you R2D2, or I love certain characters, or I love stories and stuff, right? Now Venus in Aries comes with it this level of childlike love, right? And so also impetuousness, also acting on a whim without thinking things through right away. So you'll follow your heart wherever it takes you, even if it's through hell. It's kind of like a Venus and Aries thing. Her port of fortune is also there. So port of fortune in your chart is kind of like it's a mathematical point that considers other points in your chart. So I look at it as like a special waypoint to your fortunes, let's say. But fortune can mean, of course, monetary, but it can also mean things like your fruitful relationships or alliances or mentorship, other ways in which we get value, which can mean financial, of course, but these things are usually intertwined. Thanks for the also no deities, thank you for the follow. So welcome to Neuro-Linguistic Astrology Live. We're going over the astrology of sex symbols right now. We're starting with Marilyn Monroe's chart. We are currently entering Gemini season, very fitting with Miss Marilyn being a Gemini, but she also has Mercury there. So in your own chart, wherever your sun sits, if you find there are other planets hanging out with that sun, pay attention to those planets because they will mean that there's more amplification in with that. So for me, my sun is in Taurus, but I'm very I'm a I'm very close to Aries, right? So I also have Venus and Mercury in Aries, along with my rising sign. So that all kind of plays into it, right? So, where's it going? I have Mars in the same sign as my sun. So Mars and the sun together have a different vibe than Venus and the sun, or Mercury and the sun together, that kind of thing. So we basically have, let's see here. Okay. What else? Oh, Mars. Let's talk about Mars. I don't really talk about Mars much, but I think in your own charts, if you are looking at Mars, if Venus is where you, like, if Venus is what you love and what you're, like, inspired by, or you, your relationships, or you have a crush, that's Venus. How you get that crush, how you get that love, how you achieve those goals is Mars. So it's how those two planets can play within each other. And so we and all of us have a Venus and a Mars, and how those interact with each other is a unique perspective to you as you're playing the game of life. So Mars in Pisces, most astrologers attribute this to being afflicted. I think this is the word that they use, afflicted. I don't really like such placements. Okay, so all of us are going to have, let's say, trines and points of grace and ease in our chart. We're also going to have points that are challenging, right? So the points that are challenging in Marilyn's chart here is having this Mars in Pisces, which comes with it this idea of this planet of drive and action and propelling forward, being like in quicksand, feeling like, oh, like, where's my drive versus the drive of the others, and this constant struggle for your own autonomy and things. Okay, we'll get into that in just a second when it comes to Marilyn. I have some things I picked out because you can spend a whole lifetime looking at your own chart, guys, right? So that's why I like looking at even other charts that I find interesting, because I find commonalities in their charts in my chart, and I'm like, oh, look, I've learned more about myself as a result. So I think I'll leave that in terms of her overall chart. I did a more in-depth analysis of her with JFK. So I have a really cool picture of her here too, if you're watching. I'm gonna just apply this here. Okay, so we've got Marilyn Monroe's goddess placements. And so we've got Moon in Aquarius, which means that she's smarter and funnier than she lets on, which I can basically vibe along with. We also have Venus in Aries, very close to Chiron, which means fiery and passionate love affairs, which we also have Black Moon Lilith in the first house with Neptune in Leo. So so Black Moon Lilith is one that I want to talk about, just because Black Moon Lilith is not an actual point. It's like the dark side of the moon, right? So let me talk about this properly. I'm gonna read a little definition of what is Black Moon Lilith. Okay, so what's my Black Moon Lilith sign? Look up your Black Moon Lilith by sign, and if you are unsure,
that's what you just say. You say this has nothing to do with me. I don't know what you're talking about.
do you want me to stop?
No, it's good. Sorry.
Okay, because I can stop and restart.
Sorry,
Okay. So please look at this. Black Moon Lilith, how How to calculate. That's what I wanted to kind of look up more. You can look up an online calculator, but I want to tell you guys about the actual, let's see here. It's all like calculator, but I just want to say, like, I just want to talk more about like what the mathematical point is. Okay, Black Moon Lilith represents your hidden desires, suppressed emotions, and parts of yourself that society may not fully accept. It is the raw, untamed energy within you, the part that refuses to be silenced or controlled. Now, based on your moon side, Illumina, oh, thank you. I'm trying to do like more of the day show being like teaching you guys about astrology, and just to let you guys know, your own chart has tremendous power, right? So it's good to know you and your inner circle and your friends and your fellow companions on this journey or this quest of life. It's important, I think, to know each other very well, because you can help vibe on each other's strengths, and you can help to support each other when it comes to our weaknesses. However, there are points of the chart that can also provide, let's say, you can F with other people, right? If you know certain people's like weaknesses, you can kind of almost like know how to manipulate them in a weird way, right? And that's where like sometimes really intelligent people can also play this game. That's where Gemini's shadow comes into play, that because you're so smart, it's almost like there's a challenge to that, being like, I'm so smart that like I can just play like it seems like I'm doing one thing, but I'm really doing something else, and not necessarily being authentic about it. But Gemini, it's very powerful though, right? We're entering Gemini because I have a Gemini moon, and when I first found out about my Gemini moon, I was very sad because I'm a Taurus, right? And I had a friend of mine growing up, and I loved her, but she was very much like a pathological liar, right? She was a sweet girl, and I don't think she meant to lie, but it's just a matter of I don't know, like, I get that, and that was the learning of Gemini, where oftentimes, like, we think that we're better liars than what we actually are, and our friends that love us are like, oh, I know you're lying about that, but like, it's okay. Earth and wind, yes. Oh, it's taken a while to balance that, and being an Aries rising, it's all of these different forces within you that push and pull you, right? So bring us back to Black Moon Lilith. That placement in your chart will, as I said, illuminate places where you have felt shame in past lives. And I know that some people have discomfort about concepts like past lives or karma or these things like that, but it's not really anything to be scared of. It's more about like, I think there's a big beauty about having a destiny stepping into your life, that you were meant to be here and live this life, and so it brings a lot more comfort to your challenges, right? Because it's not for nothing. Nothing is in vain. It is all for something. It's not in vain unless you tell the story in that way where it doesn't mean anything, right? Aries, Sir Francis, hey, it's been a minute. You're an Aries with a Scorpio rising and a Leo moon. That is a warrior Astro stack. That's intense though, eh, Sir Francis? Scorpio rising, actually, that placement, I have Black Moon Lilith on my rising. So Black Moon Lilith was just like planet of shame, all that kind of stuff, is on the rising sign. So rising sign is all about how other people perceive you, right? So it's like the mask that you put on before you go on stage. Now, rising being Scorpio is almost like, it's how other people will perceive you. It's like they will know that there's something going on under the surface, and likewise you do. You do have something going on underneath the surface. And it's also like Pluto rules Scorpio, and even though Black Moon Lilith is not ruled by Scorpio, it does have scorpionic vibes associated with it. Yes. Oh, thank you. I have more cosplay things coming up, but I wanted to have my day show be more about astrology and the fact that I do offer readings, you guys. So just a little advertisement placement, right? Where it's like, if you want to do readings, I do them on not Mondays. I don't do them on Mondays. I do them on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And I have them at increments of 10 USD dollars per 10 minutes. And so you can get them in increments of 30 minutes or an hour or however long you need, with like a max of, let's say, 2 hours, because like that's a long time. It's very intense. And in that reading, we do a variety of things from, like, I'll show you. I have my like tuning fork. This is tuned to the Schumann resonance of the earth. And so it has a boot on it. And so you can just place it on different parts of your body. It's my secret to looking young. So it's, the Schumann resonance is considered the heartbeat of the earth. I think we could use a better name for it. But regardless, let's see here. I wanted to look up, oh, I got on such a tangent, my friends. So I'm doing the astrology of sex symbols. Yes, you know, because it's a thing, like, anyone with Scorpio, I mean, I shouldn't say this, like, every sign, I think, has a different way of peeking beneath the veil and realizing, you know, we are all one, and that beautiful truth of it all, right? But remember, like, just like if this is a grand cosmic play, right, and we are all both the director and actor in this beautiful play. That's why even politics, right, if we think of the way law works, it's all acts and statutes, and we're all in you know, like act 1, scene 1, you know, and then which stanza, rhythm, and meter. So encoded in all of the language and how we speak, and cadence and rhythm and meter, like that's why rap, I used to love rap back in the day. I'm so sad. I miss when I used to love hip hop. And even all the stuff going on with Cassie, right? 'Cause Cassie's half Filipino and I'm half Filipino, so I'm like, oh, Cassie girl, what happened to you? And I'm a year older than she is. She was born 1986. It's like, I wish I could. So that's why I'm also doing this as well. There's a lot of shame around sexuality, and it's taken me a long time to wield my own sexuality, my own beauty, my own power, instead of having it be something that is used for other marketing campaigns, right? Or used for playing certain roles that are only like a small facet of who you are. So me and Marilyn have Black Moon Lilith's placement in common, because her Black Moon Lilith is in the first house. My Black Moon Lilith is on the ascendant. And oh no, Sir Francis, and remember, time is not linear, right? It's always just happening. It's about like what frequency you're calibrating to. And so Marilyn, I loved her because like she was born Norma Jean, and she's got a lot of placements in her chart that indicate that she's got some psychic ability, and comedic timing I think also has to deal with that, because the cosmos has a wicked sense of humor, and so if you're aware of that, you can be in on the joke. So I welcome you guys to look at where your that's your homework for today. Where is your Black Moon Lilith located? And then where does that in your own chart indicate where you can step into the light, not be ashamed of who you truly are, and be that, right? Whatever that is. Even though in the past you may have been shamed, or society doesn't understand it, you're an outlier, but all of those folks are always the most interesting anyways, right? So that was Marilyn. I have a whole thing of her and JFK, which I'll share after all this in the afternoon. Yes, Black Moon Lilith. So Black Moon Lilith is like, think about the dark side of the moon. And I mean, regardless of if you think the moon is like the moon itself, whatever you believe it to be, has a symbolic meaning based on what you attribute to it. Now, Black Moon Lilith, like Lilith in the Bible, of course, has this story behind it, or a myth behind it, where it's like she was Adam's first wife, and she didn't want to like be obedient to Adam, so he got Eve, right? So Black Moon Lilith functions, as I said, as this place of like dark feminine power, but it's not only to.
They're taking it serious because you're taking it serious.
You are infinite, Sir Francis. I'm older than you. I turned 40. I wish I was 31. You're 31 now. I wish I was 31. Sir Francis, I wonder, like, I turned 40, right? And I feel like every age you're at, it's just what you're calibrating to. And I've been writing some old, or like looking at old books that I wrote when I was 13 or 14, when I fancied myself of a poet. Oh yeah. Oh, I am. Yeah. But you know what? Rachel at 31 would say that I look younger now because I'm not carrying the weight of my hormonal imbalances with me. So, your hormones and your neurotransmitters in your body, I do believe that there is a psychosomatic, psycho-spiritual connection between all of those things. Like, even if you think about Dune, you know, the book Dune with the Bene Gesserit, I went to an all-girls Catholic high school. I feel like there's like weird commonalities there, but because I had a mother superior and all that kind of stuff, but their level of control is over their endocrine system. So the ability to talk to your like adrenaline and all of those things in your body and be like to modulate them is considered magic. I have white hairs too though, right? This is actually the longest I've been without dyeing my hair. I think from the time I was like 16, I started dyeing my hair once I discovered the whole alchemy of that, and I loved being all different hair colors. But my hair took a beating, right? Like when you bleach your hair and do all of that kind of stuff, it wrecks, it damages, right? And I didn't. I was obsessed with being platinum blonde. You can see lots of like my pictures where like I loved being blonde, and I attribute that to Miss Marilyn. I looked up to her. I had a big poster of Marilyn black and white growing up in my room, and I refound it. So we're gonna switch now to two other goddesses. I have something planned with Lisette on TikTok here because she does a beautiful Marilyn Monroe cosplay. I'm gonna be doing a Brigitte Bardot cosplay, and I think we're gonna choreograph Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. And so if you're interested in doing a cosplay of old school Hollywood, let me go back to Brigitte's chart. Brigitte is different. So Brigitte, if you're not familiar with her, Brigitte Bardot, she's French. She was born in Paris, I think Paris. She had a crazy story growing up. She and her sister, when I was reading up on her chart, she grew up in like an affluent French household, and she had a story about how she and her sister broke their parents' favorite vase one day when they were playing. It shattered, and their father like whipped them 20 times or something, and she still remembers that and I relate to that on some regard, because there's this level of like having to be so prim and proper and follow certain rules, and if you like break something like a prized possession, like that's like the worst thing you could do, even though you're just a kid, right? And you're just trying to discover yourself through things. Now, Brigitte's a Libra. Libra is the other sign that is ruled by Venus. So Taurus and Libra are both ruled by Venus, which means that there are going to be similar things that those two signs have in common, just like how Virgo and Gemini are both ruled by Mercury, and they will have certain things in common, even though it doesn't seem like it, right? So I welcome you guys to look at like your planetary rulers, as well as in your chart what your planetary ruler is doing, right? So in the case of Marilyn's chart, her ruler of Gemini, Mercury, was next to the sun. So all of that stuff when it comes to communication, her ability to reinvent herself is all amplified by like that placement. Now with Brigitte, there's a lot of stuff I can go through because I haven't actually done her chart live before, or haven't done her chart before. So let me see here. What else did I want to point out? What is going on in her sun? She also has Mercury in the same sign as the sun. She also has Jupiter there. So Venus in the sign of Libra is more, I think, masculine things, in the sense of like where Taurus is like sensuality and earthiness and the juiciness of Venus in Libra is more about like fine art and the opera, and a more masculine way of expressing Venus's side, like beauty in a masculine format, because it's not like, just like how sex symbols like are not all female. Like you have male sex symbols like Patrick Swayze, Elvis, it's definitely like there's commonalities in the chart as it comes to the attractiveness from that level. So with Brigitte, I pulled out some goddess placements to look for, and I have this gorgeous picture of her. Hey Dandy Money Man, welcome myself. Yes, I forgot about you, right? Perhaps you have similar things, and like maybe you're yet an undiscovered sex symbol. It just takes the reinvention, right? Because Brigitte Bardot was born that's her name. She was like born with like, I guess, a Hollywoodized name, but Marilyn created Marilyn Monroe, and Raquel Welch, same thing goes with her. But this idea of like your pen name, your stage name, even your name on social media, on TikTok, is maybe not what your name is in your like regular real life, but it's still a facet of you that is still part of you, right? And so it's like a matter of like all these different versions of self being aware of each other, so they don't like fight each other, right? So Brigitte has the sun in Libra, trine the moon in Gemini, conjunct Chiron on the descendant. Now, I didn't bring up Chiron in Marilyn's chart, but Chiron in any of your charts is going to talk. Chiron's is from Greek mythology. I call him like the personal trainer of heroes. So he's actually known as the wounded healer. He can heal everybody else's wounds, but he himself cannot heal his own wound, which was caused by when Hercules accidentally stabbed him with an arrow that had Hydra blood on it, and then he had a wound and it couldn't heal. So he can heal other people, but he can't heal himself because he's immortal. So there's the lesson to that is that Chiron in your own chart, and wherever Chiron appears, will indicate places of opportunity to find healing in this lifetime from past lifetimes. So where Chiron plays with Black Moon Lilith is you can kind of see where like shame and healing don't necessarily, they're not the same, but they can be related, right? You can have a lot of wounds and trauma as a result of being shamed or embarrassed, or for like no reason at all, right? Just all of this kind of like that feeling of what that is can bring about wounds, and learning where to look for healing, because it's not a clear path all the time. Sometimes we feel certain things and you don't really know why. I think astrology does a great job of like giving some indication as to where we can kind of seek out what will give us closure, or where we need to look at things, where we need to look at ourselves and things like that. I'm a bi in astrology. Yes, the basics. Yes, there's so much more, Sir Francis, because think about it this way. I'm going to share something. My sun is trine Neptune, and it's also opposite Pluto. Now, Neptune and Pluto in all of your charts, they're generational planets, so they take very long to move from one sign to another. I think more so than saying millennial, Generation X, whatever that is, it's more precise to say what Pluto you were born under or what Neptune you were born under, because the energies of that luminary are going to affect that generation. It's just something to consider when it comes to looking at your own chart. And if you think about your personal planets like the sun, moon, Venus, Mars, Mercury, those planets are going to dictate more of like your personal way of dealing with people in your life, or rather this main personality. They can be activated by the more generational planets, however, and that is a unique aspect to you, right? Yes. So I was born Pluto in Scorpio, and that was between 84 and 1993. So anyone born after 93 has Pluto in Sagittarius. So there's there's just a different vibe between those two generations, which is why sometimes people are like, well, I don't feel like this or that and the other thing. Anyway, yeah, yes. So you're Pluto in Scorpio too, with a Pluto rising, right? So your ascendant is going to be activated by that. So anyone who has Pluto or Black Moon Lilith dealing with much more personal sign or placements like rising or sun, you're going to find that the hidden occulted side of all life is going to be much more accessible to you. And what this sometimes does with other people is that people will be magnetically attracted to you, but it can also have this like, I'm scared of you effect. Because I think it's also like, it's a matter of like, sometimes there's an awareness of like, oh, this person can see through my shit, so I can't do the same tricks that I usually do with people with those placements. So there's that. Venus in Brigitte Bardot's chart is in Virgo. Virgo herself is, although ruled by Mercury, is considered a goddess sign and is a mutable sign. So it does have this earth goddess energy associated with it. Virgos and Tauruses will like each other, I find, because of that. Let's see here. It also, Black Moon Lilith is in the 8th house conjunct the South Node. That's what I wanted to bring up with Black Moon Lilith. So the South Node and the North Node are two other mathematical lunar placements in your birth chart. Your North Node is Rahu, the head of the dragon in Vedic astrology. And then you have the South Node, which looks kind of like a cup, looks like a grail, I look like, in your chart. And that represents the South Node, your past life, the tail of the dragon, Ketu. So when you're looking at that in your chart itself, you want to think of the North Node as your node of destiny, where you're going, the lessons that have yet to be learned, the experiences that have yet to be understood by this particular lifetime. Where your South Node is like your past life. Now, if you have your South Node with other signs like personal planets, you're going to find that it's almost like those past lives are much more recent, or they're going to affect this life much more, right? Contrary, did I study palm reading? I haven't personally, but I have had my palms read before and my tea leaves read as well. I think there's many different ways in which you can divinate, right? It's important for you to, follow where you resonate it. This isn't the usual. No, Poke, this is brand new. This is, I used to do this maybe. My old YouTube stuff was more like this kind of stuff. I've been getting them more in my interesting conjure. Maybe it's something that you should look into. Maybe you're a palm reader, because there's that whole idea of like your lifeline and the money line and all that on your sign. And I think you have to use your left hand. Also, finally, I know. It's just for looks, the Pokey. It's not for anything actual. Hey Cam, thank you for the roses. Okay, so I'm doing the astrology of sex symbols. If you're watching this on YouTube, I have a presentation. We've just gone through Marilyn Monroe. We just looked at Brigitte Bardot, and the big thing to flag with her is that her Black Moon Lilith is in the 8th house. The 8th house is the house ruled by Scorpio. It is the house of the occulted. It's the darkness that happens after Libra. So Libra splits the chart, and then you go into the underworld. And then you emerge out of the underworld in Sagittarius, and then you have much more of the interpersonal planets. So something to consider too, if you're after Scorpio, that your sun being any of those planets means that you're going to have this extra awareness of like everything. So boundary setting and all that kind of stuff are much more challenges of people who have signs that are later in the chart. But that's just my opinion. Also, her Black Moon Lilith is with her South Node, which I would interpret as her past lives dealt with a lot of shame, and a lot of alchemizing in this life would be taking those points of where you felt shame and becoming who you really are in spite of it being like, well, I was shamed for speaking up or speaking my truth or speaking my mind in the past, so I'm never going to do that again. So the lesson is like, you know what, even though that happened last time, I'm going to do it this time because it matters, and it will work this time, right? The doggo is high. Yes. I also have like my little Luna there hanging out as well. This is not the final setup. I just wanted to get this presentation out there because I've been feeling like it's more important for everybody to be more literate as it comes to astrology. And Sir Francis, thank you for that. Because knowing yourself, knowing your own chart, these placements, everyone has these placements, right? Everyone has a South Node, everyone has a Black Moon Lilith, everyone has a Venus placement. So where it sits in your own chart, it gives us some clues behind like why when you meet some people off the top, you're like, wow, I can talk to this person for like hours. And other people you meet and you're like, struggle to find places to connect, right? So, oh good. I'm glad you're here, Pokey. My schedule has been all over the place, but I will hopefully have a bit more of like a broadcast schedule with like, you know, like TV guide and synopsises of the shows, so you know which ones like whatever content you vibe with most, whether it's cosplay or Astro or gaming, you know when to catch it. Yes, and I've had to work on that, right? So like being 40, right, has taught me a lot about, so Black Moon Lilith, the thing about that is like that placement on the rising, which I have, people will idolize you, right? But it's not always in the good way. It's because, like, as I said, there's like it can come off as intimidating. And I feel like I've had to work on being extra approachable so it doesn't just come off as that. However, it's also important to note, like, boundaries are important. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. All of that kind of stuff is all entrenched in that. So anyways, thank you guys for being here. All right, so that's Brigitte. We're gonna finish off with Raquel Welch, and then we're gonna go to the gym and then we will maybe be back. So we've got Raquel Welch's birth chart. She was a Virgo. She's got a lot of stuff in Virgo, actually. Her Mars and her Sun are very close together, so that fire, that kind of stuff. I'm gonna take it one day we'll do a live workout. I don't want to be one of those people at the gym who's like filming the whole thing, right? And then but it could be funny. It might be a fun little special stream. Her moon is in Scorpio. Moon and Scorpio people, always very intense. Challenges of that are like your emotions being like very easily triggered, and like learning how to like just sit in maybe uncomfortable emotions for a bit before taking action that cannot be taken back, or saying something that cannot be taken back. Her Venus is in Cancer. Her Black Moon Lilith is also, just like Brigitte Bardot's, very close to the South Node. So I will say, for each three of these ladies who are considered sex symbols or classic sex symbols, they have their Black Moon Lilith accented in some sort of way. There's this level of excitement or inspiration from that level, which also comes with it a bit of shame. And I think that comes from a perspective of our society in general, to not being very comfortable with its sexuality, right? We do things like we over sexualize certain things, and then like other things we just don't have any education about it, like, you know, how to French kiss, how to do these things, how to do things in like a safe kind of way, how to have things that, what does consent look like, right? And how that is given, and it's not in this like square way of like, here's a contract. Right? And so thank you, Mercury 27. I love Mercury, so it's thank you for that compliment, considering that Mercury also rules the word, speaking, language, all that stuff. And so how we can talk about the shame of sexuality is to talk about it honestly and just be transparent about it. And the fact is that, like, it's not just for those people or it's over here. Everyone deserves to like feel beautiful, feel wanted and desired, and have those types of relationships. It's not just to idolize or put out, right? It's also an element. Oh yeah. Okay, so let me see here. Like last thing on Raquel's chart, her moon is in Scorpio. Oh yes, it's square Pluto. So that's a thing about where like the moon and Pluto have a square between them. Now squares in your chart, they represent where there's tension. And Jodorowsky, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He did The Holy Mountain. He was supposed to do that Dune movie that never got made. He made those series of comic books, The In Call, but he's been quoted as saying, and I love this, where it's better to be aspected than not aspected at all. So you may have aspects like squares and oppositions, and these types of forces within you can feel difficult to deal with, but that, such is life, right? Better to have, like, think of them as adventures of knowing yourself, because better that than to like have zero aspects, because you can look at charts where there's just like nothing's going on, right? Or it's just a bunch of trines and it's too easy, right? A game, if you play a game and it's just like on easy and you already know how to do everything, like that's not fun either, right? And I'm not saying relationships or anything like that should be like dramatic all the time, but that little level of tension, of challenge, is what is the spice of life. And that's why a girl may be considered pretty versus sexy, right? Or cute versus sexy. And these things are, you know what, in the energy and nuance of how things are presented. Yeah, cheat codes. That's a great way to kind of look at it, Sir Francis. Or like training wheels on your bike. Like for certain things, or if like certain characters in some games, right, are just like overpowered, where like you can button mash and like kill everybody with your big sword. And that's fun sometimes, right? And I think that it's important to know where in your life you can press the easy button, right? Like if you look at your South Node, you can find there all the lessons you've already learned. So like my South Node is in Scorpio. My Saturn and Pluto are also there, so I have a very strong connection to my past lives. But also like being in Scorpio means that I probably had past lives that dealt with more occult, dark things. And now my North Node's in Taurus with my sun, meaning that my past life was in the shadows and this is the lifetime that I step into the light and not be so backstage, right? And so where others maybe like your South Node is in Leo, where you were maybe like someone very famous, and this is the lifetime where you are the support, right? Or whatever it looks like. Each of your charts will tell you different stories, right? Royce Costa, that's a great way to put that question. So Scorpio, no, my South Node being in the opposite sign of my sun, it's possible, Royce. I wouldn't say that for sure, but the indication of a South Node being in that sign is an indication of you've already played that role before. It's like you're playing a game again. And in Borderlands, like you've got me and my sister, we're going to be playing Borderlands. We're going to finish the DLC that we've started a long time ago. But I play as Mose, or Mose the Gunner, and she plays as the Siren. It would be like I beat the game as Mose, and now I'm going to play the game as the Siren. So it's the same game, but I'm playing as a different character. But you know the game, like it would be silly for me to play again as Mose if I'm trying to learn Siren things. Right? Or you can just play again as that life, because sometimes there's levels of that where your North Node is telling you that it's a level of revisiting old lessons that we maybe learned, and just to reconfigure them and remix them. Yeah, so yay. Okay, so I have the presentation for this. It'll be on my YouTube if you want to catch it. I have some beautiful photos of these girls, pinup girls from back in the day. Raquel Welch actually passed in 2023. I learned that she actually had Alzheimer's, which broke my heart a bit, because my grandfather passed of Alzheimer's, and part of my work, I try to look for things in nature, supplement-wise, to help support your body when it comes to aging, because, you know, I'm 40. I don't feel 40. I don't know what that means. But my granny is 100, and she's like so with it cognitively. And there are things in nature like lion's mane and like drinking enough water and working out and all these things that can just, you know, even gaming. I think if more people game, that helps to keep like it's like exercising your brain muscle, your puzzle, like doing puzzles, all those kind of mushrooms, of course. Yes. So all of this stuff helps to support your cognition, because even the way mycelium work in mushrooms, similar to how your brain maps everything out. And type 3 diabetes. I do actually poke it, and I'll be like, I'll play the same game, I'll know the level, and I'll still scream at exactly the same parts. Like, I'm surprised at it. It's like when I reread books, it's kind of the same thing. So it's just like even revisiting your own chart. You can revisit your own chart time and time again, and each time, like, I discover something new. And I welcome you guys as we move into Gemini season to look at all the different roles that you play for both yourself and those you play for your loved ones and those that you play on the bigger world stage. Because I think that there's this big lie right now that we don't matter. I have a finale here that is there a correlation between the charts of sex symbols? And I'll say this, to want to feel sexy, right? Libido and all like the juicy Twitter painting in Bambi, right? This like fertility idea of spring. The first 3 signs of the chart, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, are in a first quadrant where it's like this opening up of everything. And so, is it, Pokey? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I find that interesting though, because I worked in type 2 diabetes for a very long time here at UHN in the hospital. Frederick Banting and Best here. So Frederick Banting discovered insulin, right? So for type 1 diabetes, you need insulin because your body doesn't produce it, so it requires it in order for you to break down the sugar. Type 2 happens when your pancreas basically, I don't want to say breaks down, but it basically can't keep up with the amount of like support it needs to provide your body in terms of breaking down glucose. So you end up with like sugar going unprocessed through your bloodstream, and yeah, that kind of thing. So I'm going to just conclude this live, you guys. Thank you for joining me. So I will be back a little bit later on. We'll be doing, I'm going to release my schedule later on today, because I know this isn't the normal stream, but I'll be doing this every Tuesday in the day. I wanted to actually come on at 11, but we had to do some other family things. Mercury is in Aries. Yes, that's totally it. Yes, learning is, and you know, here's the thing about learning as well. When I was taking English literature, I did a thesis called In Defense of the Romance Novel, because, you know, when you go to English literature and you study all the great works, it's always like, Shakespeare, which I studied Shakespeare, and like Plato's Symposium and all these like big fancy works, but there is still analysis and great value to be had of like analyzing things like Dune, of analyzing romance novels that you love. I love historical fiction as well, right? I had a comic book about Louis Riel that I reread the other day, and so there's just, you know, even though it's a made-up story, it has some stuff in fact, and so I feel like it's a matter of realizing the truth in the fairy tale for your own life story, and also these characters, these figures like Marilyn, Brigitte Bardot, and Raquel Welch. These ladies have given my own imagination superpower to be able to put together my own outfits, get ideas for how I want to do my makeup, how I would put together certain things. So there is no competition when it comes to stuff like that. Love is not about possession or competing. It's we have reality TV that's created that, right? Like The Bachelor and all these kinds of things. Like, you're fighting for a rose, you're fighting for a man. So there is so much abundance, so much love to be given. It's just a matter of us being aware of it. We've been tricked into thinking that we're scarce and we're small and we're nothing and all this kind of stuff. But no, you are so powerful. You are so magical. You are so capable. It's just a matter of, you know, sometimes you just need practice or work, or you need a power up, or you need a snack. Right? Sometimes it's as simple as that, where you just need someone to call you and be like, hey, just reminding you, you're awesome and you got this. Right? And thank you, Mellow Media. Thank you for joining me for this neuro-linguistic astrology salon. I call it like it's probably in conjunction with the Truth, Beauty, Freedom, Love show. So those are my shows that I do live on YouTube. They usually come with a presentation, which I'm trying to figure out how to do both the TikTok and my multi-stream without breaking it right now. But until then, I will see all of you guys next time for the comic book read. I think tonight I may do Moon Knight. I don't know what my cosplay will be for that though, because I don't have a Moon Knight cosplay. I don't know Moon Knight's friends, if he has a girlfriend or any of that. So I'll figure it out, but we'll see. There's certain comic books I need to return to the library. I can't help with multiple streams, but you can help me with moderation, Pokey. And so as I get the gaming thing set up with my Discord, we need to have a little call about that. Maybe this week sometime. Has a girlfriend in the TV series. Okay, is she super powered at all, or is she like regular girlfriend? Because there's a... Oh, you're definitely... Oh, good. Thanks, Pokey. I can't get the joke in the chat sometimes. Yeah, she has powers. Oh, okay. Very cool. Let's jump on that then. All right, guys, I will leave you now. Have a beautiful Tuesday. We'll catch you a little bit later on today. And remember, it takes true courage for you to be exactly you in the game of life. Oh, yes. And thanks for joining, Royce Costa. I think it's also like, I'm going to be getting my schedule down in, and so from that point on, whatever live streams you guys have caught is likely the live stream that you're supposed to catch. I'll put it that way. The universe wanted you to have that message. So remember, it takes true courage for you to be exactly you in the game of life. So remember to be exactly you, because the universe is counting on you. But no worries, I have your back. Until next time, my friends, stay super and stay magical. Bye.
Just getting lost in